Good morning, everyone. While we're waiting for things to get started, if you are here and you would like to follow along using Pear Deck, grab another device, go to joinpd.com and sign in using the code that is currently up on the screen. I'd love to have you join me that way going through the presentation.
And Jennifer, just let me know, and I'll do the quick little intro. I'll read what I'm supposed to be what I'm supposed to read.
Absolutely. We just hit the 9:45 mark. I think it would be great for us to get started.
Okay, do you mind if I just cut right in, Jennifer?
Please do.
So, good morning, everyone. My name is Carmel Desjardins, and I am a digital learning lead with ASD-W. Welcome to LearnEast 2020 and session A2, using online music technology to ignite the imagination. We would like to welcome Jennifer Keating from Leo Hayes High School. Thanks for taking the time to share your experience and expertise with us, Jennifer. Just a reminder to check and make sure your mics are closed. You may leave your video on if you wish. If you have any questions during the session, please add them in the meeting text chat window, and our presenters will answer them at the conclusion of the session. I should also remind everyone that this session is being recorded and will be available on stream at some time in the future. So Jennifer, I'll let you take over. I shall be monitoring the chat along the side, and good luck.
Hi, everyone. Really happy to be here, starting off our new year, and to share with you some of the resources that I've had a chance to play with over the last little while. Hopefully, it'll give you some ideas as we go along, and please feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and Carm will jump in and interrupt me, and if I have an answer, I'd be happy to share it with you. Now, up on the screen, you should see an opportunity to join in with this presentation through Pear Deck. Just to give you a heads up about what that's going to feel like, you'll be on a separate device. I've set it up so that I'm in control of the slides moving forward, and you will get prompts along the way to respond to or answer questions to what is happening in the presentation. You do not have to hit enter for any of those prompts. You just have to respond, and it will automatically show up for what we are doing. Okay, I'm excited to get started, and I hope that you glean something from this. Right. So the purpose of today's presentation is to talk about the online technology tools that are available that students can access from any device. So they have the ability, whether they're on their phone or a tablet or a computer that you have in class, that they can engage with these tools and then share their work with you so that you have an opportunity to provide feedback for them and to help grow the creative side of music making, but not only music making, depending on what it is that you teach, you may see some really great possibilities for cross-curricular connections as well too, where the students are creating through music and also learning other aspects of their curriculum. As you already know, the presenters today are myself, and Carm is going to be in the background dealing with any questions that might come up as we go through things. Now, I'm a caper at heart. I have a tendency to talk really fast. So if what I'm saying is not clear or I'm starting to speed up, please, give me a little wave and say, hey, slow down. This is a lot of information. I totally understand. I get that sometimes. So before we get started, I really would like to make sure that you're comfortable. Make sure you have your liquid of choice to get through the morning. I have a nice big glass of water here. You're in a space where you can relax and enjoy what's happening. And I would like you, if you're taking part through Pear Deck, to type the answer to the question, what are you most looking forward to in September? Right, nice. Yes, working in person. I know that we all miss that, getting back into a routine, seeing students, the cooler weather. Fall is actually my favorite season, so I totally understand that response. All right. Today we're going to talk about 3 types of tools and what they can do to help you in the classroom. The first are what I'm most passionate about, which are the tools to make music. The second are some tools that can help with giving feedback. And then we're going to talk briefly about tools to build resources as well, too. I have, at the end of this, I will make the slides available so you don't have to take notes. And also, I have put together some cheat sheets, but specifically for the first 3 tools that we're going to talk about today that involve making music. So take a moment now for those who are on Pear Deck, and if you still want to join Pear Deck, you can just go to joinpd.com and put the code in that's at the top corner there. Can you draw for me how it is that using technology in the classroom makes you feel? Okay, so we have a nice happy face. All right, someone feels a little bit crazy about it. Oh, lots of joy, love. Yes, I understand that response as well too. Um, I think I love technology, and I tend to get stuck in it sometimes because I get so excited about using it, and lose a little bit of focus in what it is that I'm trying to accomplish because, you know, the next new tool. For those of you who have that type of personality, I totally get it. This is going to be a lot of tools, and my advice to you is pick 1 or 2 to think about and start off with first. Don't try to do them all at once. Okay. First tool we're going to start with is Groove Pizza. And basically what Groove Pizza is a tool for creating a drum beat that allows the students to actually visually see it in a grid format and also in a circle format. Right, so it gives them the opportunity to visually see the rhythms that they are creating. And there's ways for them to share it as well. Now I'm going to go to the Groove Pizza site and show you some of the features of it. For those of you who are following through Pear Deck, you have a choice of looking at your computer screen and watching me as I engage in it. Or if you want, you can hit the click here button that is right here, and it will take you directly to the site yourself, and you can play along with it as well and just lend an ear to what it is that I'm saying. All right. So this is Groove Pizza. You do not have to sign in, which is beautiful. And you don't have to, especially for the younger kids, they don't have to mess around with any buttons, right? They can just go to the website and there it is. You have in Groove Pizza 2 ways that sound is represented. It's represented in this circle and it's represented in this flat grid. And these are the same thing, they're just 2 different representations. You have 3 instruments. You have 1, 2, 3. And they match up. You can see the inner ring is the first one, and then the middle ring is the second, and the outer ring is the third. And you also notice that when you put something on the ring, it shows up on the side here to let you know what shape that you've created within that ring. Now, if I press play, please let me know if you guys can hear the sound.
Yep, I hear it, Jennifer.
Excellent. I'm glad that it's working. Okay. So the nice thing about Groove Pizza, as you saw there as I was playing it, you can visually see what's happening. And you have here the ability to set up 4 different circles so that you can get the students to mess around a little bit with form. You can talk a bit about a fill and how that flips the music over to the front again. And you can get them to listen to a drum beat and then try to recreate it. Um, you can have them create a drum beat that they really like the sound of and then either play or rap over the top of it. There's all kinds of different ways that you can play along with this. When you click on the next circle, you're able to go in and add and change things. I have no idea what this is going to sound like, but I hit play. Right, so I've created that different feel for this circle. I'm going to leave that one the same. And this one, I'm going to make sure I click on it. And I'm going to, let's see, just change it that way. All right, now I'm going to go back to the beginning here. All right, so I've created a drum beat pattern that has 3 distinct parts to it. You can also change how many, I don't know if you've noticed, but this is set up 16th notes and it's 1 bar, right? So you have 1 E and 2 E and all the way around, a 4/4 time. You can mess around with that. You can take slices out by going over here, clicking on it and dragging down. So if you wanted to be teaching 3/4 time, you could do that. If you want to teach 2/4 time, you can do that as well too. So it's a great way when you're trying to introduce those new meters to students. You also can put in the angles. So one of the things that I thought might be interesting is to have students solve the angles of various shapes, figure that out, put the shape onto the grid, making sure that the angles match, and then see what it sounds like. Right? It gives the opportunity for that to happen as well too. And for those who find the visual too noisy, you can actually take out and just have the lines instead of the shapes colored in. There's a couple of other things. There's some specials here. So students can put in a drum beat to start with. I actually like seeing the shape, so I'm going to put that back. Everyone recognizes this drum beat. So that might be a jumping off point for some composition where the kids start off with that drum beat and then they try to add to it and make something interesting. The other thing is you can change what drum pattern that you're using. Here you can choose different instruments, right? And so let's say if I use the same thing and I go to techno, here's what that sounds like. And just a bit of a different sound. Now, it is possible for students to also share this, and they can download it as a MIDI file. And if they download it as a MIDI file, they can then take that and put it into other music programs and use the drum beat that they've created and put it into, say, BandLab for Education, which we're going to be talking about in a second. They can download it as audio, or they could share the link with you and you can go directly to it. Because it's all online, it's easy to share as well in that manner. All right, that is Groove Pizza very quickly. The next, how are we doing so far? Are there any questions with Groove Pizza?
So far, there are no questions, and a couple of people actually recognize the beat. So I think things are going well.
Excellent, right on. All right, our next uh, program we're going to talk about is Beatbox. And this is actually one of my favorites. So partially because of how old I am, because it's very nostalgic for me. Beatbox uses the concept of chiptune music. And when computer games first came out, they only had a certain number of channels that they could use to create within. And chiptune music was the product of that. So I don't know a ton about it because I'm a music person, not a technology person. But it's my understanding that there's only like a certain number of channels that they could use, and they had to stay within that confines. And this particular online program emulates what was being used to create music way back in the late 80s, early 90s. Okay, which I know dates me, but that's how it is. So think early Nintendo stuff, and students, I mean, that it's very nostalgic, and your students are going to be familiar with that as well when you play it for them. I have used this particularly with middle school students, and they love it. So I do highly recommend it. You have a choice here again. If you want to be on the site yourself, you can click on the click here button or just follow with what I'm doing here. So I'm going to go to the site. And this is what it looks like. It's very straightforward in terms of how it's set up, but it might be a little intimidating if you've never worked with something like this before. This is your main composer box right here. And anything that I put in here is going to indicate sound. So I've actually set it up so I have a piano on the side, and you can do that through preferences. There are different things that you can play around with. Obviously, I can't go through them all, but in my preference, I've put in the piano keys, I've highlighted the fifth note, and I'm also going to flip to full screen layout just because I like the way it looks better. So this is the full screen layout. Okay. So the nice thing about full screen, you'll notice these either sides here are grayed out. It's because it's outside of the confines of this particular what I'm going to be doing. So what can you choose here? Well, you can pick the type of instrument that you want. Right, let's go, I'm a brass player, so let's see what brass synth sounds like. And then all you do is you click on boxes. So you can also choose your scale. Right, I'm going to choose easy with a sad face. Now, this is not how we would typically describe scales, but that basically just means a minor scale. So let's see, I'm going to start here. Now, you can add notes like I just did. You can add the note and you can drag it to make it longer, or you can drag it to make it shorter. Right? You can double up this way. You cannot add two separate lengths of notes in one space. They all have to be the same in the particular line that you're doing. That's just something to know. You can also put in a note and then you can grab it and change it to create nifty little effects that I love. So if I were to play this, it's not going to sound very pretty, but you will get the idea. Okay, so I've created this little melody. Down below is how you build your song and create the form. So you have 4 tracks here, and I'm just going to quickly add something. I don't know, let's pick and I'm just going to a drone, and then I'll put in a solo bass. Sure, that sounds good. This is going to be very noisy once it finally plays. I do apologize for that. And then the last track is drums. And you can pick whatever type of drums that you want as well, too. I'm going to go for wood block. And I'm just going to, it's a really low wood block. I'm going to go up here instead. Okay, so when I go back, now I've created this and I have all 4 layers for that, and I hit play. Okay, that's not terrible, surprisingly. All right, now the next one, I can choose to leave that as it is and have it repeat, or I can go to a new window. There are 8 windows in total. So you can see the potential for being able to actually do a song that is actually quite complicated using all of the different windows that are involved. And I will tell you, students get totally absorbed and in this process, right? You can also, like, it doesn't have to, your shapes, I should say, can be quite unique. And it's just kind of a matter of messing around with it and seeing what it is that you like the sound of. And to make something go away, all you do is you click on it again, right? So it doesn't keep staying that way. And when you go to a new window, you can change the instrument as well. Um, you can change the tempo, you can change the reverb. When it comes to sharing, this is a particularly unique program that every time I change something on the board, it changes the address above. That's how it's saved. So it creates a new website essentially, right? So the students can share it with you. They can either, if they wish, they can download it, export it, and save it like they would a MIDI file, so on and so forth. But the neat thing about this, and one project that I think I'm going to try when I go back to school, is they can take that code that's been generated up here and then they can share it with someone else. And when that person goes to the website, they then can change it, right? They can manipulate it as well too. So I'm thinking of setting up a whisper composition where the codes that one person starts and then they add one aspect to the music. They take the code, they pass it on to the next student, and then at the end of a week, let's say, we take a listen to what the final result is. I just think that would be kind of a fun, unique thing to do. Other ideas for this site, certainly there's the ability to get little clips of video game play, have the students create their own video music soundtrack to go along with that clip. This is a great site to really talk about form and timbre and texture because it's visually right in front of you. And I'm sure you also have some great suggestions as well for how this might be used. Again, no sign-in, you just hit the address. Excuse me. All right, that is Beatbox. So the last music making site that we're going to talk about is BandLab for Education. And this is the main site that I'm going to focus on for getting students to write this year. This is an online digital audio workstation. So if you've done any work with GarageBand, that's what this is. This is not as strong as GarageBand, but the advantage to this particular site is you can set up your classes and the students join through a class code, and then you give them their assignments and then they respond directly within that. So if you're doing something in GarageBand and you want the students to share it with you, they have to download it, they have to send it to you. There's quite a few hoops that you need to jump through. With this, you do not have to jump through those hoops. Both are great to use. It really depends on what your workflow is and what works best. I like this idea because I don't have to mess around with students saying, well, I submitted it, or I emailed it to you and you didn't get it, those type of things to deal with. So BandLab for Education is a little more involved than the other two. It does require signing up. Once you sign up as a teacher, there's two different sites. There's BandLab and there's BandLab for Education. Make sure you go to BandLab for Education. It is free. You sign up as a teacher. And then when you sign up, you can add your school. So I have the person who trained me, I have their school, I have the training that I've been doing with other teachers as a school, and then I'm just setting up my Leo Hayes High School account because I'm just going back to Leo Hayes this year as a school. And then within the school, you can add classes, right? So I haven't added my students yet, but I will be adding classes. I'm going to go to the ASD-W page I have here because excellent music teacher in our district Carissa Smith has been using this program after we did some PL on it and had her students doing some composition, and I'd love you to see what that looks like. So Carissa has set up her classes, right? When I click on her class, you will see all of the assignments that she's assigned for her students. And the information is right there. And you notice that the students are able to also add some, and that does that. Okay, students are also able to add some comments as well to that. So I'm going to go into the very first one here so that you see what that looks like. I hit practice composition. These are the requirements for this particular assignment, right? And you can go in and edit it as you see fit. There's a deadline that's been set. And then you can see over here all of the students who have submitted their work, and then all the students, for whatever reason, haven't done so yet, right? So when you click on the Submit It button, the student's music is right there, and all you have to do is hit play. Now, I am not a teacher in this classroom, so I can't open in the mix editor to see what it looks like in the DAW, but I'll show you what that looks like in a second. But I can listen to it, and then if it was set up such, I'm not going to actually do it, I could leave a comment about it as well too for feedback. So here's what. So she was able to submit that without having to jump through any of the hoops that involved in downloading it. But they can still do that as well too if they want to keep it for themselves. But all of the information is one place for the teacher. And when you're trying to keep track of all of these technology things and all of the assignments, this is a beautiful way to do it. So I'm thinking for my grade 9 class, I've actually set it up in such a way that they're going to be looking at one element or aspect of music each week. And I'm going to use this with a specific composition assignment associated with focusing on that element. Rather if it's like rhythm, or it might be looking at timbre, or it might be looking at texture, but each week they'll have an ability to explore a very specific aspect of music through this particular website. So I'm going to go back for a second and just show you the interface. I'll go here. Let's see. Maybe. No, I like to open it. Open a mix editor. There we go. Okay. So this is just a sample thing so that you have an idea of what it looks like. All right. So again, it's very similar to GarageBand. All of the loops that I've used for this particular thing are listed right here. There is a mute and a solo button for each channel. This is the main workspace. I can grab any one of these and I can decide to shorten it or lengthen it, right? If I wanted to keep repeating, I can lengthen it, or I can grab it here and make it shorter, so on and so forth, right? If I wish, I can add automation, which allows me to control just how loud each one is, and also do decrescendos and crescendos, right? Changing the volume so you can get students to look at blend and balance and how that works. If I wanted to add something, let's see, I'm using loops. I just click on the loops button, I go to loops, And then I can search based on the type of genre that I'm playing with. And then I can listen to it, see what it sounds like. It's pretty. There we go. Yay, and I think that's pretty great. So I can actually bring that over and I can add it to my track, right? And then it goes right in. I actually added that into another track, but now if I want that to go away, I'm just going to click that off here. And if I wanted to put that in a new thing, I would need to just take the automation off here and copy it. Cancel. Oh. All right, so when I do a right click on that, that's something new that I just learned. It's asking for a MIDI file to be dropped in. So if I want to grab the loop, I just have to, and I want it to go into this new track, I just have to grab it and put it into that new track. Once you drop it in the track, it's there unless you take it out or delete it. You can also have the students add notes so they can type in lyrics to their song if they're actually writing a song and they have lyrics to go along with it. The students have the ability to record so they can add their own instrument or their own voice to something that they've created. And you can set it up when it's assignment. This is not an assignment, it's just me messing around. But when it's assignment, there's another button down here that has the instructions for the assignment as well that can come up at the side so the students can keep checking to make sure that they're covering all the requirements that you've asked for. Lots of ideas with this, I think. If you, one of the things that I thought would be really interesting is having the students read a children's story and record that and then create a soundtrack to go along with that children's story. I think that would be wonderful. The other thing that's new that I have not played around with much yet, so I don't know how it works, but they've added a collaboration button that allows students to invite other classmates in so that they can talk about what it is that they're working on and collaborate on the same thing. I haven't used that a lot, so I can't comment on how it works, but I'm quite intrigued to give it a try and see how it turns out. So BandLab or Logic Pro, or this is just an online version that can be accessed from any device that you have control over in terms of classroom. The students sign in using a code that you share only with them, and it's a great program where it gets them really working on their own music. All right, so that was a fair bit of information about 3 really fantastic programs. Could you take a second to let me know how you're feeling so far? Just take the dot that's on the page and drag it to how things are going. Awesome.
And so far, Jennifer, there's only been one question asking if these programs work on mobile devices, and I've tested an iPad, and someone else tested it on a phone while you were giving a presentation, and we both seem to have had success. So far, so good.
Excellent. That's fantastic. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, so those 3 programs are the ones out of all that I've looked at that I really, truly like, and I see as being the most flexible. So I hope that that has given you some ideas, and we can talk more about that too in the question period about some of the things that you might be thinking of. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about feedback. So I hope a lot of you have heard about Flipgrid. They just recently crashed last week, so we'll see whether or not I'm able to gain access. But What Flipgrid is an online video platform. So students, you can again set up your class and invite students via a code to come and respond to prompts that you give them. All right. It is actually tied to Teams in that it's through, you can sign up through Microsoft, so you can set it up so that the students have to use their email, their school email, to gain access to your account. So I'm going to go to Flipgrid just to give you a quick idea of what it looks like and sign in as an educator. All right, so when you create a Flipgrid, you end up with groups, right? So I have two groups here. I have grade 11, 12 music, and I have music teacher professional learning. And we're going to go into music teacher professional learning. And basically what happens is you set up a prompt, okay? So in this music teacher PL site, I have one topic that says, what was your takeaway? So I did a PL with some teachers and I asked them to talk about, you know, what's the one thing that stuck with you from today's professional learning? Please let me know if you'd like any follow-up. And I can actually add a video prompt as well too, so the students can either read or they can listen to the video. I'll just show you a little bit with that. Hi everyone. All you have to do is click the big green button, record. All right, so you get the idea. You love my COVID hair there, isn't that great? It's not a green button anymore, it's actually a red button. They just changed that. So if you want to know what it looks like when the students see something like this, I'm just going to go to view as a student, and what they see is the video, the prompt, and a place for them to record a response. They can either click here or they can click this lovely red button and record their response. So David, if you're watching, I'm using you as a guinea pig. Thank you for that. Here's David response.
Hi, Jennifer. I'm giving this a try on Flipgrid. I think my...
Okay, so he is able to respond to my prompt, and then I can go in and actually respond back to him. And you can do all kinds of different things with this. You can set it up so that the students can comment on each other's. You can decide whether or not that's something you want to do. You can control it in that if David posted something, I can set it up so that his video is not visible until I approve it, right? So you have an opportunity to check the videos before you put them on a platform where they're going to be seen by everybody else in the class, which is probably a smart thing to do. I'm just going to go back to being a teacher here, and I can do it this way. Oh, sorry about that.
Hi, Jennifer. I'm giving this a try on Flipgrid.
All right, so I'm going to go back to my educator. There we go. All right, so the other thing that this is great for is you can create teaching videos as well, because Flipgrid has something called stickers, and the stickers allow you to add things into the video that you've made. So for instance, if I was just playing around with it a little bit here, and I decided, okay, what if I was teaching students how to strum in 3/4 time using ukulele, and this is geared to a very young grade. So let's see, I'm just going to click on this. Hello, everyone. Right, today we're going to learn to strum in 3/4 time. To that, because, you know, it's lovely, right? But notice later on in the video, I'm able to add the music that I want them to play and play along with while I'm. And I'll count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then we'll start. Okay. The music is right there for them to be able to play along with, which is kind of fun as well too. And they have the 4 steps that they need to go. How much is the doggy? Play it, watch it, learn the strum pattern, record themselves playing the song, and then that little extra challenge, make up their own verse and then perform it. So you can do that with any grade level and any instrument depending on what it is. And then you could get them to record their response and keep it so that you see it and reflect on it yourself if you wish, or if they want to share it. I mean, you can ask, let me know when you submit. Do you want this shared or not shared? And if they want it shared, then you can put it up for the other students to see as well too. Lots of great potential. There are pre-made Flipgrids that are available. There is something called Mixtape where you can take videos from all of the submissions and have like a highlight reel that you could share during a parent teacher or something like that. Lots of great opportunities. I have not even scratched the surface of Flipgrid, but because as a music teacher, my students are not going to be able to sing or play wind instruments in the classroom, I really intend to flip my classroom so that students who wish can work on their instruments at home, record their progress, and then share it with the class when we're together for feedback if they are comfortable with doing so. All right, that is Flipgrid. How are we doing for time? All right, I'm going to pick up the pace just a little bit. Go ahead, Carmen. Did you have something?
Just a question here. Can you take a video you've recorded and add voiceover or sound to it after the fact? I think he's asking about Flipgrid, and I
Yeah.
don't know the answer to that. Do you?
I'm not 100% sure about that. That's something I can look up though. Like, leave your email with me, and I'll take a quick look at it. It's not something I've tried to do.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't. I don't think you can.
yeah. The other thing about Flipgrid, which is nice, is you don't have to have it attached to a particular prompt. You can just create a video that lives alone, and then you can download it. So it's a great built-in camera with some tools that you wouldn't normally have that you can also use for to build your teaching videos as well too, which is another great use for it. All right. So let's take a minute. I'm curious to hear how you think you might use Flipgrid in your classroom to teach your curriculum. Does anyone have any ideas that they'd be willing to share? Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Performing live is hard, right? So the ability for the students to be able to record over and over again until they get that one recording that they feel really confident with is great for the shy and reluctant students. Um, and it might help them develop the confidence that they need to eventually get to live performance. And it's going to take us a little while to get to that point anyways. So this will be wonderful practice for them as well too. Yeah, I think that's a great idea too, to use it as an end of week review or a summary. You've done the whole week and now you want students to reflect on what it is that they've learned. You can have them respond that way as well. And I didn't even touch like on all the possibilities in terms of what the kids can do with the video as well too. Because that there's stickers, if students don't want to have their face on the recording, they can actually put a sticker over their face, which is really great for those who are very shy as well. In terms of video, you still get to hear what it is that they're saying, but they don't need to show their face as well too. There's lots of great tools that way. All right, let's move on. So this is a new trend, and you may or may not have heard of it, but people are starting to talk about using digital badges as a way to provide feedback as well. Think about the best way I think about those. I was a Girl Guide when I was younger, and when you completed a task, you get a badge to say that you learned how to bake or you learned how to build a campfire or so on and so forth. This is kind of the same thing. You build the digital badge, decide what style that you want, and then they become rewards for students accomplishing certain tasks. And there's all kinds of different ways that you could use this. The examples I have here are things that I built just for my grade 9 students. I was thinking, okay, if I'm going to do this in week blocks, at the end of the week, the students have accomplished everything within that week, they would get a badge to indicate that they've completed that week. But I've seen people build badges to reward habits of mind, build badges to reflect their school plans, their SIPs, right? And students matching that. It's really just a way to recognize. And there, you always have that student in your class who loves to check off the boxes. And this is a really nice way for them to do that. Particularly because we're using Teams, if you're going to set up a notebook for your classes, you can just push these out to your students. You can either build a page where they go onto the page, and that's something that they keep within their digital portfolio, or you can push it out, or you can put it directly on an assignment. If there's a badge associated with a particular assignment, you can just take that badge and put it on the assignment and have them save it that way. All kinds of possibilities with that. We've been using Pear Deck, and you had a chance to see how that works. And the idea of Pear Deck is that students have the opportunity to respond to what's happening in the slide and give you feedback as you go. There are two versions. The free version involves questions that are typed in or multiple choice. The drag and drop and the draw stuff is only if you pay for it. Which is the version I'm using now, there's a 90-day free trial run, which is why I'm using that particular version. I can see it being very valuable for music teachers in that they can put up a staff and have students draw whichever symbol or scale that they want the students to, so on and so forth. So I like it because you know that students are participating and they can give a little bit of feedback on what it is that they're seeing as well too, which is kind of nice. This particular presentation was built by Canva for Education. Canva for Education is a very powerful online graphic organizer. It is a graphic design tool. It is not a Word. It's not like WordPerfect, right? It's graphic design. So that takes a little bit of getting used to because everything is an object and you use text boxes. It's not a word processing thing. However, it builds very beautiful resources and it's very flexible. It also has a classroom feature that I haven't used very much, but I will be using it for my worksheets and posters and other things that I want to put up in my space. I'll just go quickly to it to give you a bit of an idea. All right, so you can do lesson plans, presentations, you can create stuff for your Facebook, there's certificates, logos, posters, all Instagram posts, whatever it is that you want to work through. These are all the designs that I've been messing around with. These are your cheat sheets that I will be sharing with you for each one of the 3 things that we talked about at the beginning. And also you can create, I know there's a presentation later on today about Google Classrooms that might be interesting and for people to check out. Here's my Google Classroom, which I may or may not use. I haven't decided yet, but it was very fun to build. And that was all done in Canva. All of these objects are linked to websites. And if I were to use it, I would put it up for the students. I'd tell them what assignment it was they were doing for the day. And then all of the websites that we might be using in class will be linked as well too. So anytime that they need to connect to those websites, it's easy for them to do so. Fun, not necessary, but kind of fun to build for sure. All right, and we're just drawing to the end here, and I just want to leave you with a couple of points. Make sure you just choose one. Don't try to do it all. It's too much to try to do it all. Choose one, figure it out, spend time with it first, right? Learn some of the quirks before you give it to the students and ask them to use it. But remember that you don't have to be an expert. I'm by no means an expert on any of these things. And the students are often quite a bit faster at figuring things out than you are. And they'll understand that you're working together on figuring stuff out. And the biggest thing, and this was in Matt's keynote as well too, the music technology is used to teach the curriculum. It is not the curriculum, right? It is a tool for you to enhance learning in your classroom. All right. There's some other fun music sites you may be familiar with. I'm not going to go through them all, but it's just a quick list. And I would recommend Midnight Music she has a bunch of free, excellent tech PL that's geared specifically towards music teachers, but she also does she has a great PL on Flipgrid. She has a great PL on, connecting with students and providing feedback. I do recommend her free stuff. And she does have a paid community as well that you could, if you're interested, you could look at, but it's quite pricey. But she has a ton of free stuff that's up there that you can check out. And if you want to contact me, this is how you do it. First of all, if you're not a member of the ASD-W Music Teachers Team site, please ask and we'll put you on it. This is my web address. Feel free, or my email address, feel free to send it off. And I'm going to give you a link in the chat box that is where the slides and the cheat sheets are for these courses.
And Lori Tracy said she has been taking notes and she's added the notes to this.
Oh, perfect.
So that's great. Sorry, that's all. Someone had a question about Pear Deck, but I think I've just directed her there, I believe.
Okay.
Sorry, I cut you off. Continue.
No, it's all right. I just wanted to leave this with, I just wanted to ask people, what is the one program you're kind of intrigued by and how do you think you might want to use it? Just to tie things up with the Pear Deck response. Does anyone have some thoughts on that? Nice. Yeah, I'm really starting to see the potential of Pear Deck as well. I was unsure at first, but I really like the idea of the feedback, the immediate feedback.
And I believe Microsoft is in the process of working on something for PowerPoint similar to Pear Deck.
Nice.
It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be quite as good, but I've seen some examples and I forget the name, but it looks interesting.
Yeah, it's really great, especially for the younger kids, those websites that don't require a sign-in. It's just one less thing that you have to deal with, right? So I do agree with that as well too. I know that a couple of music teachers in the district have used Groove Pizza to great success. They've really been enjoying engaging with that with their students. All right. Thank you, everyone, so much. And if there are any questions, I'm just going to close the presentation box here and bring this up. Let's stop sharing for a second. And I'm going to put in the chat box, I'm going to put the website for those sheets. That'll just give me a second here to do that.
I'm also going to add a form in the chat box. So in essence, I think it's going to be a form for a door prize at the end of the day. So please only submit the form once for every session you attend. So I'm going to add that link as well in the chat box. And the last thing, Jennifer, is we have a question from Katie. I guess it's going to both of us. Can Canva be linked to Teams?
I don't think so.
Yeah, the only thing I wonder is it's a website, so you could probably take that URL and add it to the top like of your team as a tab.
Mm.
You could try that. I think that would work. It's kind of like a shortcut to the Canva website. Maybe not exactly what you're looking for, but it might be kind of a workaround.
Yeah, that might do it for sure. And I think, I'm not positive, but there might be, the Canva app might be in Teams as well too. You could search to see whether that app is available, and then you can link it to the top of your team as a tab, and that would give direct access into it as well. Yeah.
Okay, I've placed the link to the form where you can apply for a gift.
Right.
And
And I'm just trying to bring up this link now. Copy link, copy, and let's see. All right, and where's my chat box here? There we go.
I've been reading the chats. A lot of positive responses. They're all enjoying it. I found it was interesting. I'm not a music teacher. I have no music abilities whatsoever. But I actually, you've piqued my interest, and I'll know I'll be playing around with some of these sites as soon as we're done.
That's excellent. Thank you so much for that.
And I think, did you send that link, Jennifer, in the chat? I'm still looking for it.